Hello everybody, I'm the IELTS trainer here at Avigna Learning Academy, and today we have a student with us who's going to do a speaking task with us. Let's see how this is going about. You have three parts in the speaking task. There's part 1, part 2 and part 3. Part 1 will not be assessed, it's just a warm-up session where you and I get used to our accent. Part 2 and 3 will be assessed. So let's start with our warm-up session. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm John Connor. I'm from a small coastal town of Mangalore, which is in the southern state of Karnataka, on the west coast of India. The major industry there is actually education. So we create a lot of engineers and doctors who go out to other cities, places, especially the Middle East, and later remit money back into the town. That's how the economy works. I myself have a graduation from the Bangalore Institute of Technology and a master's in business administration from Christ College. This is in a city called Bangalore, which is the capital of the southern state of Karnataka, which I mentioned.
Okay. What are your hobbies?
Some of my hobbies are reading novels, watching History Channel, learning history, as well as one of my favorite topics is science fiction, and this is what I follow a lot, not just about current news and scientific breakthroughs, but also watching a lot of science fiction shows.
Okay. Is this interest from childhood or have you developed it over the years?
My science fiction interest developed mainly because of the 50th anniversary of the Roswell incident. So when I picked up on that, I started following, and it became a sort of passion and obsession for me in those years. And this slowly moved me towards the love of science, and I finally resulted in me becoming an engineer.
How's the weather in your country?
The weather in my country is really varied depending on which region you're in, but mostly it's characterized as hot and wet. Especially me being from southern India, it's really hot and it gets wet. My coastal town is on a hill slope, so there's a lot of rainfall which happens. But as you go north, especially if you go to the extreme north, you have the mountain range called the Himalayas, which are the tallest mountain range in the world. And it gets very cold there, extreme climates.
Okay. So which part of your country is really cold?
The extreme north of my country is the coldest. The state called Jammu and Kashmir can be considered as one of the coldest. But because the Himalayan range is huge and it stretches through the northern border of the country, it's very difficult to exactly pinpoint. But definitely it's that region which is the coldest in the entire country.
Okay. If given a choice, where would you prefer to live? In a cold climate or a hot place? What is it?
Well, I'm not really fond of either extremes, although I have lived in the Middle East, in cities like Bahrain, which is an island nation, and I've experienced both extremely cold weather as well as hot weather. But mostly my upbringing has been in apartment buildings, and being a developed country like Bahrain or Dubai, you are shielded from the environment. But I like the city which I live in now, Bangalore. It has an average of both, known to have good climate throughout the year, and that's what I prefer.
Okay. Let's come to part 2. Okay. You can just have a look at the topic for discussion. You'll be given a minute to prepare for this, and you'll have to speak on this particular topic for around 1 to 2 minutes. Please describe a competition that you took part in.
So one of the competitions which I took part in was a science competition during my college days. The competition was between colleges at a taluk level. So that's a level within the district. The way my country is organized is country, state, district, and within that taluks. So this, I being an electronics and communication student, we had, it was kind of thought of that we would come up with a project considering the stream that we had and the expertise that we had. Unfortunately, some of the students had thought of a project, and due to non-availability of materials at the last minute it fell through, and our batch was not going to have a submission for the project. At this time we thought of creating a simple project just for the sake of keeping the honor of our batch, and that was when a couple of my friends got together, and I was really interested in this, and they knew that I could make circuits very well, which I really loved. I built circuits with using solder and the soldering iron, and one fellow had the idea. So we quickly scrambled over a couple of days and got together an FM transmitter radio, which we were finally able to show to the competition judges. Although they liked it, since it was a little low scale than the others, we definitely did not win the prizes, medals that they had. But we definitely won participatory certificates, and my batchmates were also very thrilled about the transmitter, and they all wanted to play around with it and see how it worked.
Okay. Do you think that some of the school teachers use competitions as class activities?
Yes, definitely. Many school teachers use competitions, whether it is to get marks or to become the class monitor, or to get a chance to do some extra work for them. They definitely use this, and this is especially valid in universities where teachers select assistants from one of the students, and they get paid for this. So there is definitely a lot of competition. And this helps the student work. Sometimes if it's a group activity, it helps them to work as a team. It also helps them to understand how the world works, that they need to outperform better if they want to go forward. And it gives them an incentive, which is very important in this world, to understand that it is a do or die situation.
Okay, so you feel that competitions are healthy?
Yes, definitely competitions are healthy, but there are always side effects when people go overboard. You always hear about sports stars such as Lance Armstrong or several other sports stars who take drugs just to keep up their performance. We need to have performance where you know that you need to work hard for attaining your goals, but not to keep it. When you hold on to it more than what you want, that's when you try to abuse drugs and do illegal activities.
Okay. We have a lot of reality shows in India. Do you think it's a good practice?
There are a lot of reality shows which come up now more than before. When I was growing up, there were hardly any reality shows. There was one off which became very famous, but later it looks like almost every show adopted this, and somehow people have started losing interest in this, mainly because it seems scripted and people seem to do things which normal people would never do, and just to get the publicity, media attention, and they just do this so that they become famous, be hated, and become famous as a hated personality, and later try to capitalize on this. That's why I'm not a big fan of reality shows.
Okay. Let's come to sports. Do you think there are advantages and disadvantages of intensive training for the young sports people in our country?
I think it's very important to have train at an early age regarding sports. Although sports is not given as much attention as studies, at least when I was growing up and where I was growing up. But it is very important today, especially with obesity plaguing in different parts of the world all over. In spite of the fact that we still have malnutrition, it is important to be healthy, and several diseases are out there, and studies have shown that people who have at least some exercise throughout their life are healthier and live longer lives. So it's very important.
Okay, and do you think that it is possible to become too competitive in sports? If so, in what way?
It is very much possible to become too competitive. I can think of two ways from the top of my head. One of them is to compete, no, not just to get ahead, but rather to compete with someone else, where you try to, there's a game of one-upmanship over each other, and that necessarily is not really good for the sport, especially if it's a team event. Another aspect, as I mentioned, is when they just try to cling on and think if they can have just an edge, and they start abusing drugs and do whatever they can to get an edge.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So I hope this has been helpful to all of those who are preparing for the IELTS speaking task. For all of you, best of luck for your exam. And for more information, please log on to www.avignalearning.com. Thank you.